If you want to buy your own house, you need to start saving.
Absolutely. This episode, we look at strategies to saving.
And that is very important for you to create wealth, not just wealth to buy a house, but wealth in general.
The Okri Property Show, shedding light on property investments around the world.
Welcome to the Okri Property Show. My name is Godwin Okri.
And I am Fiona Akirabo.
Here, we're going to look at investing in the housing market. The housing market is one of the surest way to create wealth. If you look at the statistics, it shows that the fastest way of creating wealth is in real estate.
And in this particular episode, we're going to be exploring ways on how to get our own houses, as in my house and your house. Yes, I'm talking about you. It's going to be an exciting program.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And look, savings is one of the ways to climb the cadre, climb the market. And this episode, we're going to look at strategies to save so that you can buy your own property.
But before we do that, let's go into our Did You Know?
Did you know?
Wait for it.
The Okri Property Show.
Hello viewers, did you know that the minimum wage is still very low, and according to the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics, almost 70% of Nigerians are living on less than $1 per day. That's horrible. Did you know that as a result, only 35% of the Nigerian population own their own home? Did you also know that the Nigerian real estate market accounts for only 6% of the country's GDP? Let's turn to the world economy now. Did you know that according to Knight Frank, housing affordability around the globe is becoming a problem due to high property prices? The gap between the house prices and wages is increasing. The gap has reached $740 billion. Did you know that one of the most affordable cities is Dubai? That's good news. The property prices in Dubai has fallen by about 25% in 4 years. This is due to the oversupply of properties and falling oil prices. Now let's turn to gossips. I like gossip. Did you know that Jennifer Lopez is selling her New York apartment for $13 million? Don't say I didn't tell you. Well, that is all we have for you today. Until next time, we're still on tops. Join us at the top.
The Okri Property Show.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Okri Property Show. Well, Godwin, you watched, did you know? I didn't know that 70% of Nigerians survive on $1 per day. $1 is 350, right?
It's absolutely, and it's quite sad, given that Nigeria is one of the fastest growing economy in the world.
There's money in Nigeria.
There is, and to then think that people are living below that.
Would you survive with 350 naira a day?
Maybe not.
How much is water? Let's start with water. How much is water? Let's pure water.
I think it's about 50 naira. So.
10 naira, right?
Yes.
Yes, so 10. I think somehow they survive.
That's why they need to come into the real estate market. That's where you're going to make money, isn't it?
All right.
Well, look, enough of that. Look, today we're going to look at savings. It is, if you look at the numbers, you'll find that not a lot of people are saving to climb the property market. Savings is the fastest way to raise funds to invest in the Nigerian real estate market. You need to consider that. Presently, many buyers are unable to access the property market because of the difference between their income and the property value in Nigeria. Fiona, do you know that the average property price in Lagos is about 60 million naira, and the average price in Nigeria is about 30 million? Now, these are the numbers. The average wage is 18,000 naira.
A month?
on a month. So how on earth would they be able to afford this?
It is very, very hard.
Very hard. And I'm glad you mentioned the word hard. We're trying to make it easy for you, because if you're able to save, if you understand the strategy of savings, then the word hard that you use would not come into fruition. It will be so easy. We are going to show you in this program how to save to climb the property ladder.
Of course, because the only way to beat this is by saving. Let's now hear the views of investment experts about savings.
The Okri Property Show.
First, let's talk about savings. So it's very important that you save when you have a goal. So for investment purposes, especially when it comes to real estate, you have to be very sure that you have a purpose, the purpose being invested in real estate. So you have to make sure that you'd set aside that 1% or 2% or 3% of your income for investing in real estate. One of your strategies might be that you want to set aside a 1% or the 2% or the 3% of your income for investment. Or you could decide that earlier on that, okay, I'd like to, let's say, sublet my apartment. So that's another form of income. Let's say you have a 2-bedroom, for example, and you're just living in one of it. So that's a way for you to save money for investment. You could decide that that money I pay for my, let's say, electricity bill every month, I do not want to spend that much anymore. So you could say, I want to bring in another person to share this burden with me. So that is a very, very important way, very great way to save for investment. I would advise you to open a fixed deposit savings account. Is very, very much advisable. This ensures that you do not touch that money, because we know how expenses are.
Well, I think the first thing in saving, just like any other project, is to have a goal. A lot of us just, we just put money away without specific goal in mind, and then so when there's demand, we end up squandering it. So you must have a specific goal. That's number one thing. You must have a specific idea of the percentage you want to save per time, and then you must be able to put it away where you cannot touch it. That's the second thing. And then as you put it away, you need to find a way to commit to that project that you have. So there are a lot of savings platforms you could use these days. You could decide to do long-term fixed deposit, and even for some people, you could decide to buy liquid instruments that will help you to hold the cash, so you don't just wake up one day and spend it. Now, one of the major issues in property, in buying property now, particularly residential property, is the equity component. That's the component you should have if you want to buy a house. For any house you want to buy, you're expected to deposit a certain amount. So accumulating your own portion of that, your portion or that down payment, savings will come in handy at this point in time. And I think really people should take a very long-term perspective. You should start saving now towards that kind of project as early as you can.
Show.
Mr. Shea mentioned that it is important to clarify this, that it is not very easy for everyone to save. It's a big problem, right? Do you believe that?
Well, what I believe is exactly what he has opined, which is that most first-time buyers are unable to buy properties, either because they don't have the funds, or they have some funds but don't know how to save those funds to climb the property ladder.
Thank you.
So I quite share his view. And this is why I think that being able to save is fundamental. Mm-hmm. The numbers is this, in terms of the whole world, every statistics in America, in the UK, and here in Nigeria, saving is a problem. And we find it necessary that if buyers could save, they could gather enough funds to be able to climb the property ladder. And that's what Shay was saying, and I quite like that.
As in, basically, you don't have any other way out. There's no shortcut to this. You need to save if you want to get that dream house, if you want to get that dream property, if you want to get that dream life.
Absolutely. And when we mention saving, what are we talking about? We're talking about cutting your expenditure, unnecessary expenditure, and then panning that income. So think different ways to raise funds and cut your unnecessary expenditure. That remaining aspect is your savings, and that's what you try and build to invest in properties.
Yes, definitely.
Can I ask you, do you save?
I do. I'm at a level where I do save because I have so many big dreams, Godwin. So I definitely have to save. And then, of course, I'm also saving for that property of mine. You know, I'm almost there.
So you're almost there. Fantastic.
So saving is important, but I don't want to lie to people that it has been easy in the beginning.
I think the point made is that if you don't have enough income, how can you save? And that's why you need to watch this show. This show, we're going to show you how to raise income, and we're also going to show you how to cut expenditure. If you raise income and you cut expenditure, the remnant is your savings.
Definitely.
That's it, isn't it?
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be hearing what the people on the streets of Lagos had to say about savings. That and so much more is what you don't have to miss. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
The Okri Property Show. The Okri Property Show.
Right now we're going to interview a lot more citizens on what they know about savings. Do you save and all that? Just come with us. Do you save?
Yes, I do. I save, understand, but it's not much the way I like it.
Of course I do. Okay, so why do you save now? For future purpose.
What about future purpose?
Okay, for your future purpose.
I will save because of emergency. So emergency may come up. If you never had any saving, you can't do anything.
I save because of the future, because when it gets, really, really dry, you need to wet some,
How often do you save?
Per week.
Every month. Daily. All the time.
Most of the time, when a very good sum comes, I keep a part.
I save when I can, when I have, the ego.
Would you say there are challenges in saving?
Seriously, there are challenges. Just as I had said earlier on, there are challenges in saving. Sometimes you may have in mind, I want to save up like 30,000 to buy a particular phone. And in that period, something may just come up that may warrant you to want to touch that money. So it's challenging.
It's not an easy thing. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. Right here in Nigeria, trust me, saving is not easy.
Saving it's easy. That's the kind of business you have.
It's not easy. Saving demands discipline. Because if you lack discipline, if you lack self-discipline, you can't save.
Do you plan to save so as to get a property?
Yeah, but not now.
Not now. Okay.
Not really for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ambition.
I plan. Of course, I plan. Of course, I want to have tons of houses, like everywhere. Trust me.
Thank you very much. That's gonna be all for
You're
now.
so pretty and you have a pretty smile. Anyway, I wanted to say you, but just have to go things down.
Welcome back. We have been trolling the streets to try and find out what people have to say about savings. And you've had the views of the people on the street.
I find it very surprising that most of them say that they find it difficult to save.
But it is, Godwin, it is.
I shouldn't see why it should be difficult.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but it is.
I'll tell you, one of the tricks is if you think you have unnecessary expenditure, just train yourself to cut that unnecessary expenditure, and that's saving.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to stand in for that Nigerian, that African, that, any person that is watching and feels like, I've tried this, I would want to not spend unnecessarily. Remember, everyone that spends feel like, forget the people that are luxurious.
Yeah.
The people who will have an iPhone, that they want to buy the latest iPhone, that they want to buy, they just want to hold the 3 phones. Forget people who are going to have cars, or you just want to have 10 cars. I'm not talking about that expenditure. I'm talking about someone who feels like, okay, I know I want to buy a property, but then I have tuition. Again, I have kids.
Fees,
I have,
rents,
it's normally necessary. How do you help these people? What should they do?
I agree with you. I could see your stance, but look, I'm talking about those people who are spending unnecessary, like going to parties, buying unnecessary clothes. Sure. Those are the sort of people we're looking at. And I'm saying that if you're trying to buy a property, just discipline yourself. It's just about discipline.
Sure, I think you're right. I think what Godwin is trying to tell us is you just need to set your priorities. You need to know what you want, set your goals. If you want that house, work for it, sacrifice.
Absolutely. I'm quite happy you're agreeing with me.
No, I do. I'm just standing in for for our audience, that
Absolutely.
other audience, as you stand in for our other audience, so we can balance it.
Fiona, you know what? We need to help our viewers to understand the real strategies to savings, and this is what I'm going to have to look at. I think the first thing one has to do is to open a savings account. Because if you open a savings account with good interest rate, that would boost your savings. So if you're saving, for example, 10,000 naira, if you have 10,000 naira a month, you could save. For 12 months, that will give you 120,000 naira, plus the interest on top of that. That's enough to propel you. And if you could then, for example, then save it for 10 years, that's 120,000, that would be 1.2 million in 10 years. That's enough deposit for you to again approach the bank for a mortgage to buy a property. You see, so that's one key strategy. And you could also look at people who want to save maybe a bit more. Maybe you have 36,000 a month, and you save that for 10 years. That's 360,000. Imagine that.
No, for 10 years it's 3.6.
For 10 years, thanks for correcting. For 10 years, 3.6 million, and which is very good. And that, of course, again, is good deposit to buy a property. And those are strategies. First of all, look at a savings account that have good interest rate, and a lot of banks offering that at the moment. And if you could save that for 12 months, and after 12 months for 10 years, and then you have a mortgage, that's it. Quite easy. So that's something one need to consider in this.
Well, Godwin, thank you so much. That is really an eye-opener. And what I have learned from this, or what I feel some people could have learned from this, is 10,000 can be saved by everyone. Not everyone, but by most people. They can try, even students, to save 10,000 per month. And then in 10 years, you have 1.2 million naira, as in you have your money doing other things, and you have all this money just by yourself to be able to get a mortgage.
To buy property.
This is amazing. Okay, we're going to go into a break, but before we do that, I want you to know that we're going to be having the side attraction. Well, side attraction has so much to do with it. Just keep on the show. We'll be right back.
The Okri Property Show. The Okri Property Show.
Welcome back. Well, you're still watching the Okri Property Show. I'm Fiona and I'm still with Godwin. Well, this is the time where we go to the side attraction. What happens in this segment? You get to find out what's trending in the housing industry.
We had to look at the value of the property that we wanted to buy. We had to look at the property and look at how much deposit would be required for the property, and the other expenses like a surveyor, mortgage broker, and additional expenses, and also bringing the property up to scratch. You know, when you buy a property, there's some work to be done as well. So we had to factor in all those costs, and we just put together a budget. And it took us about 2 years to save, but what we were doing was that we opened a special account and we were doing a monthly direct debit. to get that. So we calculated the length of time it will take us to save for the property, to get the deposit, because there's no way of escaping that. You have to pay for the deposit, and the mortgage broker, the surveyor, and everything. So, and we put in an additional funds as well. So it took us 2 years to save, but we saved by opening a separate savings account and just paying direct debit, doing a direct debit from our accounts.
The Oakley Property Show.
Welcome back. Fiona, what do you think about why is saving such a big deal? Because I've just heard this. I normally do seminars and I give talks, and I find when I speak to attendees, they say the same thing about savings. What are your thoughts on that?
Viewers, help me. What do you think about it? I think it's the best thing that can happen to anyone. Like, it helps you achieve all your dreams. It helps you see where you're going. And I feel like it's something we all need and we ought to.
Well, I could play the devil's advocate. Someone might say, look, I don't have enough income. What are you talking about savings when I don't even have...
Never have enough income. I don't think... Okay, there are people who actually make money. Like, you just do a deal and you have 36 million, Maybe, so we don't want to disregard.
Let's leave all of that.
Well, thank you so much for being part of this show from the beginning till this part where we don't want to say bye, but we definitely have to say goodbye, and we'll be back as usual.
Right. Well, look, unfortunately, we've come to a conclusion of this episode. If you've missed anything in this program, you could go to our website and you could catch up on everything we've covered here today.
Until next time.
Goodbye.
Show. Show.
Brought to you by Menvo Homes Limited.
The Oakley Property Show.